Hello, I'm Brandon Martini, a commercial pilot and flight instructor.
And I'm Carson Vasquez. I'm a private pilot.
And you're listening to the Aviation Mentors podcast, sponsored by Stratus Financial.
So buckle up, because the Aviation Mentors are taking off.
Today, we're really excited to dive into the topic of how AI, or artificial intelligence, is poised to revolutionize flight training in the future. From virtual and augmented reality simulations to adaptive training and intelligent tutoring systems, we'll explore the ways in which AI is already being used and how it has the potential to improve the efficiency, effectiveness, and safety of flight training. We'll also explore the possible future developments such as remotely piloted aircraft system, RPAS, and the autonomous flight deck, AFD, that could change the way that we train pilots. So sit back, relax, and join us as we explore the future of flight training with AI.
Thanks to advancements in technology, we're seeing new ways to make flight training more efficient, effective, and cost-effective, and that is where AI comes in.
So let's dive into some of the ways in which AI is already being used in flight training. Carson, can you give us some examples?
Sure, Brandon. One of the ways that AI is being used is in virtual and augmented reality simulations. These systems can create highly realistic flight training scenarios that mimic pretty much real-world conditions. And this can provide trainees with a more immersive and effective flight training experience.
That sounds like a crazy game changer.
Yeah, it definitely is. And another way that AI is being used is in adaptive training. And these systems can adjust the difficulty level and pacing of flight training exercises based on that trainee's performance. And this really ensures that trainees are being challenged but not overwhelmed.
And I can imagine that would also help reduce the amount of time and money needed for training, huh?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And another way that AI is being used is in intelligent tutoring systems. So these systems can provide personalized feedback and guidance to trainees, helping them identify and correct mistakes more quickly.
That sounds incredibly valuable.
Yeah, it is. And there's also been some research in the use of artificial intelligence in autonomous flight, such as remotely piloted aircraft systems, the RPAS that you talked about, and the autonomous flight deck, AFD concept, which could change the way that we train pilots, and as they're able to fly the aircraft without human intervention.
Wow, that sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie.
It definitely does, but it's important to note that these developments are still in the research and development stage, and they would require significant regulatory changes, as well as the development of a robust safety and cybersecurity measure to ensure the reliability and the safety of the systems.
That's a good point, and it's important to remember that while AI has the potential to change the way pilots work, it's not likely to completely replace them in the near future.
Exactly. Pilots bring a unique set of skills and decision-making abilities that are difficult to replace with the current technology, but AI can help to improve the efficiency, safety, and performance of the aviation industry.
And it's exciting to think about all the possibilities AI could bring to flight training in the future.
Absolutely, and it's important for pilots, flight instructors, and the whole aviation industry to stay informed about these developments and to be open to new ways of training pilots.
You guys might have noticed that we might not have sounded exactly the same in our verbiage today as usual. That's because the entire script for today's podcast, at least everything previously, besides our intro, of course, was actually written by ChatGPT. OpenAI, or ChatGPT, has been all over the news lately. And I first heard about it in early December, shortly after it was launched to the public. I was actually text messaging Carson like crazy, and we were joking around, sending back messages that ChatGPT would do. He even had ChatGPT write a love letter to his girlfriend and then sent a text over to her with it. It's literally, I mean, that's something really kind of lame in the scheme of things for ChatGPT's ability. But it can do everything from that to write a script to give you the top 10 ideas for something. And honestly, my head's not even wrapped around it. It's all over our social media feeds, as well as every radio and news station daily. While I was driving to my office today, I heard them say ChatGPT at least, and I'm not joking, at least 20 times on the radio. I mean, it was that many times. I believe that AI is going to transform our lives in 2023, and this is likely the new tech revolution that's going to be rolling out in real time. We're watching it transform things all the time. I know that yesterday I heard that it actually took like a college professor's final exam and passed it with like an 83%, which that's kind of mind-boggling to me.
I actually saw something, it was an article that they passed the bar exam at 70% score with ChatGPT, just feeding it the questions and putting in the answers. So it's pretty crazy too.
Yeah, it's insane. So we were just kind of toying with the idea today on what we should actually do for today's episodes. We didn't quite have a script ready to go. We always have some ideas in the mix, but this one was one that we've kind of talked about back and forth for quite a while now. And we thought it'd be fun to see what ChatGPT would actually give us for an entire script. We've actually used it in the past to give us ideas and content, just small content, paragraphs and whatnot. But today we used it for the entire, first 5 minutes of the podcast, which was actually pretty incredible. We didn't tweak it at all. It's exactly what ChatGPT wrote for us. And for some reason, there was even parts of ChatGPT's information that actually sounded like the words that Carson would say in his words and sounded like mine, which was really phenomenal. But in reality, I think that AI can transform our lives in the future. 2023, there's going to be a lot of iterations of ChatGPT, a lot of iterations of OpenAI and other AI softwares that come out. I know that this one happens to be partnering with Microsoft. At least that's the way it looks right now. And I can't wait to see what Google does. But on top of that, I mean, AI, they've talked about AI being able to transform our lives in different ways, but think about how it can transform our lives in the cockpit. We could probably just say something in the radio without pressing a button, or maybe pressing a button that says, what is the exact heading that I should be traveling right now to get to my destination? And it could likely just go ahead and calculate all of the wind speed, the direction, your velocity that you're in the aircraft. It could probably do that in a split second. Honestly, if ChatGPT was hooked up to the entire internet, which it's not yet, I could probably ask it to create a flight plan for me. And actually, I'm fairly certain it could create a flight plan for me. And I'm going to try that real quick. Carson, do you think it can actually do that?
Yeah, I got quite a bit of faith in it. I've actually used it to, just when I was playing around with it, I asked it to create an entire pre-flight briefing for a CFI to give to their student. I've asked it to do a pre-flight checklist. And it was pretty accurate at everything you need to do. I even asked it to create emergency procedure protocols for a Cessna 172, and it went through everything from floor to door. That was cool.
That's insane. So I just plugged it into my ChatGPT account, and I put create a flight plan from KRAL to KDVT, which is Deer Valley Airport. And it put the flight plan from KRAL, Riverside Municipal Airport, to DVT, Deer Valley Airport, would involve the following steps. Number 1, departing from K-Rail and climbing to an altitude of 7,000 feet, setting a course towards DVT, monitoring and communicating with air traffic control throughout the flight, descending and preparing for landing at KDVT, touching down at KDVT and exiting the runway. It is important to note this is a general outline, and the flight plan would vary depending on factors such as weather conditions, aircraft performance, and ATC instructions. Additionally, it's important to file a flight plan with the FAA and get all necessary clearance and permissions for the flight. That's pretty crazy that it gave us that much detail with so little information. And if I told it, create a flight plan for me in a Cessna 172 named 1234 Bravo or something like that, and I gave it all the winds and flight direction, I bet you it can give me an entire flight plan created. So I would encourage some of the student pilots listening to this, go check out OpenAI's ChatGPT and see if it'll actually do it for you. If you do get it to do it for you, please send it to me. I want to see what that looks like. I think that would just be phenomenal to see.
It's crazy. And this is just ChatGPT, not hooked up to anything. There's no APIs, no integrations. So seeing ChatGPT hooked up to, ForeFlight or Aviation Weather Center, giving you access to everything like that, can be a huge game changer. And imagine hooking up AI with your autopilot. Just like Brand said, entering a couple buttons and everything does it for you. And that's not a huge difference from where we're at currently with autopilot, where you got to turn some switches and plug some things in. But it's quite a bit different when you think of it taking into account everything that ATC is telling you to do as well. And then just course correcting constantly just on your behalf. And there's already some integrations and iterations of that when you look at like Cirrus aircraft with the Garmin Autoland. AI kind of handles that. So putting that in the cockpit in an emergency situation like with Autoland, a little bit different than your day-to-day use. But looking at everything, it's pretty crazy, just all the new technology that's coming out. And you really have to keep up with it. You can't let it leave you behind. Because if you're not keeping up with this, you're going to be left behind. It's AI. It's the next generation.
Yeah, I think this could really get rid of a lot of jobs, unfortunately, in society. It's going to be a real game changer. So while Carson was talking, I threw in the GPT chat. I said, how can AI use an autopilot on an aircraft? And I just want to see what it would say. And it said AI can be used to control an autopilot on an aircraft in several ways, including autonomous flight control, automatic flight stabilization, predictive maintenance, obstacle detection and avoidance, autonomous decision making. And it gave like paragraph answers for each one of those 5 things that it just talked about. It's a pretty impressive system on what values it can give you. And if you give it more and more information, it can even do that.
And all I can think of is what it said earlier in the podcast script, where it said there's going to need to be a lot of cybersecurity measures. I can't imagine, the kind of stuff that could go wrong with this. And looking at the last paragraph that it just fed us, says additionally, AI systems are designed to assist the pilot and not replace the pilot. So I think being a pilot is pretty future-proof. There's definitely going to be a lot changing in the industry, but I can't imagine them just taking the pilot out of the cockpit completely anytime soon. Especially not without a lot of research and a lot of safety measures on these things. Even going from dual pilot to single pilot for an airline is, like we saw with the American Eagle pilot, I believe it was American Eagle, that pilot died on takeoff. Imagine if that was a single pilot flight. So, converting from single pilot to no pilot, I feel like is just a huge step that we're probably not going to see in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we'll see it in our lifetime or not. It really depends on how the public perceives certain things, obviously. Like, for example, the public's not fully on board with cars that drive themselves. I mean, Tesla is trying to make autonomous vehicles a reality. And unfortunately, the technology's not there yet for that. But I can tell you that airplane technology is pretty much there, and it's been there for a while. You can look at all the brand new, I don't know about all the brand new Cirruses, but I know all the Cirrus jets, they all have Autoland, the Vision jet. They all have Autoland in their systems, literally, because they're a single pilot certified airplane, or certified jet rather. If the if the pilot basically becomes dysfunctional, if they fall asleep or pass out or have a medical emergency, essentially the passenger can press this big button up on the ceiling of the aircraft, and it will literally communicate with ATC. It will squawk the appropriate transponder codes. It will automatically land on a runway and apply brakes. It will put them on the ground, and that's based on a system by Garmin. And that's for a small airplane. They already have Autoland. They already have all these things that can work on large commercial jets. But I don't think the unions will allow a single pilot for a long time. I mean, it's just not going to happen unless there was a catastrophe in our industry, in the aviation industry. So I would almost bet that we won't see single pilot airliners like mainstream probably in our lifetime. And if we do, it'll be towards the end of it, most likely. I mean, I can't see how that would happen. But I mean, if AI gets smart enough, quick enough, I read somewhere that they said it's only 7 years till a singularity. And I don't know what that really means, but it sounded like it's like 7 years until it's near sentient, which sounds crazy. But you never know. I mean, I did not think that we would be able to have artificial intelligence write scripts for us and write books for us. And it can also you can take a script from a book and put it into an AI software that will actually give you images, and it can write a book for you. I read the other day, and then he changed it into an audiobook. So by having it just read all the stuff for him. So he used ChatGPT to write a children's book, and then he took that children's book and uploaded it to another software that basically created graphics for the entire children's book based on reading it and then creating the graphical user interface. And then on top of that, had it read it for him. So then he published the book on Amazon, and they just print as needed. And there was like a children's dinosaur book or something. But imagine we do that with like a pilot book. I might even do it. If I release a children's pilot book coming soon, I'm going to tell you where it came from. And it's going to be coming from ChatGPT. It's not going to be coming from me. Maybe some of the concepts and the ideas. But maybe I'm going to do that. Let's toy with that idea. I want to make a little pilot's book. If anybody has any ideas, send them my way on what you would want to see in a pilot's children's book. And maybe I'll do that. That'd be kind of fun. Or could make a real book, like a nice nonfiction, like 300-page novel from ChatGPT. What do you think?
You can write your sequel to your favorite book, Telling Isn't Teaching.
I do like that book, Telling Isn't Teaching. And if you're a CFI, you should go read that book immediately. Telling Is Not Teaching. It's a really good book. It's on Amazon. It's only like $10. Every instructor I meet, I give them a copy. I order like 10 at a time. And I really do. And I give it to every instructor I ever meet, because people just say, do this, do that. And that's not how it works. But nonetheless.
Yeah, second book's going to be for students. It's going to be Hearing Isn't Listening. But it's really an incredible just technology, and the way it's going to change in a cockpit and change flight training, we don't even know. We discovered this a little bit over a month ago, and just in that time, we got an email this morning from Process Street that they're now integrating, all this stuff, this AI with HubSpot, Pipedrive, a couple other programs. It's just crazy. It's only been out for a very short time, and AI is in almost every technology and integrating now. It's phenomenal.
Absolutely. So we're going to wrap it up for the day. Thank you guys so much for listening, and keep an eye out for different ways AI can be transforming flight training and piloting in the future. We sure hope you enjoyed today's episode, as we had a lot of fun writing only parts of it, which was a good time. So thank you so much. If you'd like to reach out to either one of us, you can reach us at Twitter or Instagram at Mr. Martini Guy, or for Carson, it's at Carson_AV17.
And as a wrap up for the day, remember, we and the AI are here to guide you in your aviation journey. So fly safe and enjoy the ride.